everyone, and welcome to another edition of the AL Central Rundown. We are still, for another episode, shorthanded. We are not yet back at full strength. But joining me here today on the penalty kill, if you will, is...
I'm Lee.
I'm Dan.
Yes, and apparently Eric is doing a 1-month photo shoot with his child today. So I can't wait to see those photos as far as what Eric's going to be wearing in them.
Yeah, I think it's very important. Everyone knows it took us like 4 tries to get this recording started.
Oh, you don't need to tell him that. This is a professional podcast, Lee.
Oh shit, you're right.
Never had the slightest doubt. I will say, if we want to get some extra hits, everybody loves baby pictures. So, Eric, if I know you're going to be listening, we need those on social so that we can get some eyeballs.
Mm-hmm. I want to see Eric and his child in like matching like sailor outfits or something like that.
Yes. Or matching little My First Twins shirts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But all those things aside, we still have some baseball to talk about. I don't know if anyone wants to kick us off with some initial thoughts and news on their team.
Well, I know there was a couple main topics we wanted to start with this. Well, we wanted to talk about this week. We've got realignment. We've got the ESPN purchasing of MLB.TV. Which to you guys is the bigger story of the two? Let's start there.
Let's start with the ESPN stuff because I feel like that's... I don't know.
Ironically, the thing that caused the... Mr. Manfred was on ESPN when he talked about the expansion realignment. So yeah, ESPN leads the day. Let's go ahead and start there.
Let's get the ESPN stuff out of the way.
I thought that ESPN was done with baseball, personally.
Yeah, that's what they said at the beginning. Like MLB was all, oh, we are done with ESPN because we don't like how they do our sport, etc., right? And then it was, oh, they started getting back in contract talks. And then it was, I think my favorite joke was, the worst couple is getting back together.
I will say, to that point, Sam, there are so many angles to this, in my opinion. And one of them is there are a lot of opinions out there about how ESPN creates content and how they would present the sports that they present in the first place. If they're good at it, if they're bad at it, what have you. One thing that I think is indisputable that they are good at is making money. And I do think this was a very business savvy decision by ESPN to get out of the national baseball business, which, so many fans out there can regurgitate, oh yeah, baseball is a regional product at this point. It's a regional product. Well, ESPN made the clear and concise decision that they were not going to purvey in the national baseball business anymore, and instead they wanted to purvey in the regional baseball business. So I do think, we could talk about the merits or lack thereof of what this is going to mean for the games, how they're presented, etc. But from a business perspective, I think ESPN made a very savvy decision for what it's worth.
Well, and I think part of it is, I don't know if there's been a shakeup of leadership at ESPN recently. I don't know if there have been any executives who have, been shuffled around. But, they also just bought NFL Network. ESPN did.
Oh,
and they bought that. Yeah. So they bought MLB and NFL Network. And then if I'm not mistaken, the NFL bought some stake in ESPN as well.
But ESPN a few years ago got the NHL stuff, right? I don't know.
So they actually currently, I believe, they regionally are able to distribute NHL games, and I'm assuming that's going to be an archetype for how MLB will work. We don't know a lot of details at this point, but yes, a lot of in order to regionally go watch your NHL team, many of the teams you go to ESPN Plus right now and do that.
Gotcha. Because I know because Red Wings are still on FanDuel because FanDuel has Red Wings, Pistons, and Tigers. The Lions are the only one that's on. You have to get cable and stuff.
Yeah. And I was wondering, I was thinking about, from the perspective of ESPN, as the future of cable television looks increasingly dim. I mean, I know that this is something that people have been saying for 20 years that, cable and TV is going to go away. It seems like they're really trying to expand their portfolio.
Well,
Especially buying these, buying MLB Network, buying NFL Network, getting all these things. And, sure, it was cool to see Rich Eisen host Sports Center the other night, but I wonder what they will, how they will be delivering this content, whether it will be through the means of traditional cable or exclusively online.
I mean, I think you have a good point about expanding because the joke about ESPN for the past several years has been they only talk about two things: the Cowboys and LeBron James versus Michael Jordan, right? Like that's been the bit for a while now. So they're not helping their case still because they still do that a lot, but they are, I guess, trying to expand their.
There's one other component to this that if you've seen the ads, you'll know what I'm talking about. ESPN also had been um, teasing some sort of big monumental change in how they provide coverage. And the ad started this week for their direct to consumer streaming service. So another thing that's been a complaint is, oh, I have ESPN, but I can't get ESPN Plus. Or I pay for ESPN Plus, but that doesn't provide you ESPN1 and ESPN2. I can't watch Sports Center even though I'm paying for ESPN Plus. There's going to be one service now that you can pay ESPN for and you get the whole kit and caboodle. What I don't know in regards to this regional baseball contract situation is if that's also now going to be an add-on as well, a way that you might have to pay for additional for certain channels that you get Amazon Prime kind of thing. I don't know if this will be additional. I do have a bunch of questions and the sports business portion of this is very interesting to me. And I just have so many thoughts on this in that, just from a different perspective, I've really enjoyed how MLB.TV has worked this year. As somebody that has needed to utilize it day to day, I pay for the full package so I can watch everybody. Will I still be able to get that full package? Or am I going to be now limited to just the Guardians, which the Guardians are one of the teams that is going to be on this immediately.
I know the answer. Call
Please,
on
go
me.
ahead.
Call on me.
Go ahead, Sam.
You'll still be able to get the full package, but it'll be twice as expensive.
And that's what I'm wondering is what is ultimately going to be. Am I going to now have to pay for ESPN, then the Guardians package, and then the additional? Like, is there going to be an extra step here?
Yeah, that's the
thing. TV to begin with is pretty expensive anyway. So part of me has tricked myself into thinking, oh, it'll be similar because I'm paying out the nose kind of for MLB.TV as it is, but I might get sticker shock still.
Yeah, so until this time last year, I lived out of state and I had for 4 years, right? And so my parents paid for YouTube TV and I was able to access that because they gave it to me. And me and my dad split on MLB TV because that's the only way I could watch the Tigers outside of the state. And then when I moved back in state, my dad was paying for FanDuel or / Bally or whatever because that's how he could watch the Tigers most efficiently. And I still pay for MLB TV because I want to be able to watch outside games, not just the Tigers, because I like watching baseball in general. So between us, we're paying for YouTube TV, FanDuel, MLB TV to watch really two sports, because my dad doesn't really care about the Pistons and Red Wings as much. We just want to watch, if we just want to watch the Lions and the Tigers, that's three different things that we're paying for. And I get MLB TV for $20 cheaper because every single year in February they're like, "Oh, thanks for being a customer. We're going to give you this 15% off code." Do I get that code still? Because if it's moving to ESPN and now I'm going to have to pay $30 extra a year for MLB TV if they're moving it to ESPN stuff. And I'm a grad student. I make no money. I am paying a lot of money for school and rent. $30 is kind of a lot to me right now. So it's
yeah, and the University of Michigan grad school, that's pretty cheap, right?
Oh yeah, that's definitely it's known for being
yeah, that's pretty affordable. I think it's interesting you brought up other sports. Because I also think the timing of this move is very interesting because we're going into football season. And most people most people don't buy YouTube TV or ESPN Plus and pay for it the whole year. They buy it for a certain amount of time and whatever they want to watch on it, and then they get rid of it. And you look at football season's about to kick off. College football almost entirely is on ESPN. There's some games here and there on other networks, but for the most part, college football, college basketball is on ESPN. So maybe they're trying to get more people to subscribe for a longer amount of time instead of just keeping it for college football and college basketball season.
Based on what Eric was saying in the Discord chat, I'm gonna put some words in his mouth. He made it sound like he thought that the MLB teams getting in bed with ESPN in this regard is going to help the MLB teams financially, which I think is a really interesting premise, but I'm not sure is true.
Manfred has talked about wanting to he's like not ending the blackouts, but like make it more accessible or easier. I forget what his exact words are.
I mean, to be fair, he has talked about ending the blackouts. There's a lot of legal red tape that's preventing him from doing just, stroke of a pen, making that happen. But I think for all of the grief he gets, I think there's some things he's right on. And I do think if he had his druthers and just had carte blanche, he would get rid of the blackouts. I genuinely believe that.
The NFL got rid of blackouts 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So like
theirs were a little different just because they were actually tied to attendance in a way that
it was tied.
But
it was tied to ticket sales because in the NFL it used to be if the team didn't sell out the game, the TV station or the network had to buy out the rest of the tickets. And so if it was under a certain threshold, the network would just black out the game.
An incredibly archaic way of thinking of like, oh, well, if people can watch it on TV, they're not going to come down to the stadium. Like, that's not how this works.
That's
not anymore.
Those are two different things. It's
when a ticket costs $300 to a NFL game, that's not how it works anymore.
I do know when I was going through sport management, I have a sport management degree for those that don't know. One of the things 15 years ago that was a big topic there was people now have HD television. If we are going to fill out our attendance, we're going to need to do more. The reason you get all like the ancillary stuff at the stadiums now is because they need to provide an event. They need to be able to, outside of just the game. That was the big thing when I was coming up through school is we've got to be able to set ourselves apart from the TV broadcast. Beyond all that, we talked about the cost. Now, as far as the content goes, this is the other thing that concerns me is, we talked about it up top. ESPN at this point, the stereotype is very, 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 very shallow content. It's the Cowboys. It's jokes about LeBron James and Michael Jordan. It's all this stuff. It's not
Stephen
exactly
A. Smith. It's loud talk show hosts yelling at each other.
and they can get away with that. This is where I talk about them being business savvy. Believe it or not, that stuff sells. Like people
Hmm.
will tune into that. A lot of casual watchers will tune into that. People that want to get more in depth, they're going to listen to the AL Central rundown, or they're going to listen to Effectively Wild or whatever their choice baseball or football or basketball podcast is. We all get that. But my thing is, who's going to have the creative control in this relationship? If MLB is able to provide the same product they provided this year without much uh, ESPN getting in the way, then I think this could be fine. If ESPN is just distributing the product, if they are just the thing I am utilizing and go watch, even if it's a little more expensive, I prefer it wouldn't be, but even if it is, okay, fine. But if ESPN is gonna put their thumb on the scale and change the content and make it more simplistic and shallow, it's going to at
Yeah.
least disinterest me some. I know
Like
that. I'll tolerate
like
it because I want
MLB
to watch my
Network.
team. But
The MLB Network stuff. I really like all the MLB Network stuff. You know, they do Big Inning, they do all the various, just like show stuff like throughout the day. I like watching the clips of that. I like watching Big Inning, having it on in the background while I'm doing something if the Tigers aren't on. Are they going to change how that is? Like,
that's very interesting. And
Hmm.
that was one of my questions too: is what happens to MLB Network now? That's not MLB TV. That's a different thing. I assume it's still going to exist. I didn't. This is a new thing. I think I was able to get MLB Network with my MLB.TV package this year, which was new. I hadn't had it since they left YouTube TV several years ago.
yeah, that's
I
how I
liked
watch
having
it.
that. But the other ironic thing is a lot of people, things I've heard from industry people, and I say that reading things, I obviously don't have connections or anything, but is that part of the reason ESPN's baseball coverage got so much poorer in recent years is because when MLB Network launched, they took a lot of the ESPN people with them, not just the on-air talent.
Mm.
Your Harold Reynolds is an example, but also the behind-the-scenes people. They grabbed a
Hmm.
bunch of those. So ESPN was already working from a deficit to begin with,
I mean,
and then they just
ESPN
kind of
did
leaned out.
they did the wild card games last year, and they were awful.
Yeah,
Like what it still pisses me off during the Tigers Astros series. Andy Baez hits a double down the left field foul line. You can't see where it lands in foul territory
Hmm.
because it's
Yeah.
blocked by the
and they
stands,
were
and they don't have another camera angle.
and they were
Can
entirely
I?
disinterested with promoting these games that they had on their network. Like they didn't First Take or whatever didn't talk about them. It was they were right to get out of this business and make the switch they have. But how are they going to treat the product now?
Yeah. And I think one of the things is part of it is we talk a little bit about the NFL in this discussion. It's worth mentioning, like when the Chiefs signed Patrick Mahomes to that big contract 5 years ago, my mom came up to me and she was like, how did we manage to do that? Like we're just Kansas City. Like how did we manage to give Mahomes such a big contract? And I was like, well, money works different in the NFL than it does in MLB because in the NFL it's very much like this sort of like, you know, communist from each to each type of situation where all the teams get like an equal slice of the pie. Whereas in MLB, it's just how much money does your owner have? You know, how many
Well,
sponsorships can you sell?
yeah.
How big of a TV contract can you sign? So I think if they're going to, if, and let's also remember ESPN is owned by Disney, right?
Oh,
This
that's
is
right. I
this is
forgot about that.
right. This is the mouse coming in, and so if the MLB teams see a potential to get some Disney money and to make things a little bit more equal for some of the smaller market teams, I think that's a big appeal for MLB.
That's interesting. I hadn't thought of that.
But
I will
and I mean,
say,
also Disney owns Fox.
which is why I mentioned ESPN rolled out their new direct to consumer streaming service. So did Fox. They
Mm-hmm.
both this week now have that in play. I've kind of got, we're talking about the pricing of all this. I already mentioned I'm paying for UTV TV. full disclosure, I pay for a lot of streaming services between my wife and I. There's a lot of things that we bite the bullet and we pay for. It is what it is. But I'm actually at the point now. Fox was the one holdout I had, where I was like, I need them to get a streaming service going. I'm hoping I can dump YouTube TV, and in the long run, I'll actually be paying less just to pay out of pocket for all these services. I'm hoping. We'll see. I got to do the math on that. The one other thing I wanted to say was, um, we were talking about maybe this will mean more money for the teams. I'm not so sure still. I'm a little skeptical of that because they're not necessarily going to get the ESPN subscription money. They're not going to get that. They're going to get their add-on money. So if this is still, behind an extra paywall, you're not going to get a lot of casual people paying for that extra. I don't see where all these additional subscribers are going to come from. I think if you're seeking out your team's baseball, you were gonna seek it out whether you were gonna have to go to MLB.TV or you were gonna have to go to ESPN. I just don't know that they're gonna get that effect of more people congregating towards their product if it's behind that paywall still, and I have to imagine it will be.
Well, and I think something that people have been asking for a long time with NFL Sunday Ticket is a team specific package on NFL Sunday Ticket. I don't know how much Sunday Ticket is. I know it's a pretty penny
It's a
for
lot.
Sunday Ticket.
It's a stupid amount of money from what I know.
You also have to be subscribed to YouTube TV now. But I think hopefully what will happen with this is that ESPN will offer a team specific package and the team will see some kind of cut of that.
Yeah, all of this is super new. Like, this report literally came out 5 days ago, and all we know is deals are close to being done.
And Dan mentioned with all the streaming services that you subscribe to, we are very much in like a streaming bubble right now because everyone's trying to figure out how this new model is going to work. And it's going to get to the point of, essentially like the cable bundle is going to come back. It's just going to be delivered through the internet. And I think all of these corporations are scrambling to see what the next model of streaming entertainment is. And I think the Disney Corporation specifically is trying to get they're trying to get the sports package. If you want to watch sports, you get ESPN. Doesn't matter, hockey, baseball, basketball, golf, whatever. If you want to watch sports, it's on ESPN.
I think NBC is doing the same thing. I mean,
well, NBC is trying to get the basketball, or they did get the basketball.
They didn't try. They took basically, I don't know if they are in the basketball business again. They are doing national basketball along with Prime and along with Disney. So they did that every Sunday night, calendar year round. NBC is going to have a sporting event on, whether it's Sunday night baseball, Sunday night football, or Sunday night basketball. So they are making the same move. I think it's a smart move. The one thing that does well on live TV still is sports. And so, I think that's a component of this. And Prime also, interestingly, seems to be going that route. They've dabbled in. They're now in the NBA. They're now in the WNBA. They are. They still do their Thursday night football game. They had. I don't know if I've said this on the show, but they had a package of NASCAR races this year. And for those, I won't bore you with NASCAR for very long, but they did an excellent job with that. It went over really well with a very conservative fan base that doesn't usually like change. So there are other companies making this competition. What's that?
Yeah.
Are you a big NASCAR fan?
I was a NASCAR fan as a kid, and I got out of it for a while. And then in the last few years, around the pandemic, I got back into it. And I'm a fan.
I watched some during the pandemic, and by some, I mean a couple videos of some people who had set up those home remote setups with the simulators, because that was like the thing during COVID.
Somebody got in a lot of trouble on that. That's a whole other story we don't have to get into right now.
That's me. That's my. I have the same relationship with Survivor, Dan. I watched it as a kid and then got back into it during the pandemic, and now now I watch it a little bit here and there.
If there's ever a lockout, maybe we could talk about my NASCAR fascination a little more in depth. But yes, to answer the question concisely, I enjoy a good left-hand turn race every once in a while.
There you go.
I think what Sam said about the streaming in general as like a business right now, because like the other part of this is Apple TV is out and NBC/Peacock is going to be in. So like, okay, so now you need the NBC or Peacock to be able to watch all the games, which is like a whole nother thing. But like, okay, so full disclosure, in terms of the streaming services I own, I get YouTube TV through my parents. I technically have Netflix through them, but I can't actually access it ever since they started doing the location bull crap with that. The only streaming service right now that I pay for is Hulu, because that's bundled with Spotify Premium, and I'm not giving that up. I used to have Peacock and Disney, but I canceled both of those because grad school costs money. But like, okay, so for most of my shows and stuff, I pirate stuff because everything is on so many different streaming services. Like I can watch.
Would you steal a DVD, Lee?
No.
Would you steal a baseball ticket?
There are so many different shows that I've been able to. They used to be able to watch on different streaming platforms, but then they got put on some other streaming service because of the property rights got purchased or whatever. Like, okay, weird example, but one of my favorite shows, Father Brown, it's a BBC show. It used to be on Netflix, but then BBC started their own streaming platform, so now you can only watch it there. And it's all these different things that are owned by various different IPs, and so you have to get their own thing for it. It's like, well, I don't want to pay $15 a month to be able to watch any Disney property I want. I don't watch Disney stuff all that once. I just want to watch the Percy Jackson TV show when it comes out the one time, right? Yeah. Like stuff like that.
And then half the stuff you want to watch is just a YouTube show at this point anyway, too, like us. Like,
yeah. And I think
I'm not going to try to recount.
That's a valid point, because I was just going to say, I think that's how most people use streaming services. And I think that's why they are more user-friendly than cable, because you can choose what you want and for what amount of time you want it. Like, I had Apple TV while Severance was on. I don't have Apple TV anymore. Severance is the only thing I watch on. Well, Severance and Ted Lasso are the only things I watch on, but Ted Lasso is, probably not going to be back for a little while, and Severance is only on every 3 years, apparently. But, I think a lot of people just buy the by the way, if you haven't seen Severance, that is some high quality content right there. Go watch it. But I think that's how most people do streaming services is, oh, this thing I want to watch is on right now. I'll subscribe to this thing for a month and then I'll cancel it or I'll pause it. And I think that is the challenge with a lot of these. And like I said, with sports, a lot of people, it's football season, it's college basketball season. I'm going to buy ESPN Plus or YouTube TV for a few months, and then I'm going to cancel it. And I think the part of the business model is now, how do we get people to stick around? How do we get people to continue using our service for 365 days a year? And how do we get people to not want to use another service 365 days a year?
Yeah, and now Netflix is getting the home run derby. Netflix just added their Christmas games for the NFL, and now they're getting the home run derby, which is going to be. I mean, for the production of the home run derby, I'm sure that'll be fine. But again, it's just I greatly protest the idea of you need 15 different streaming services to watch stuff you want to watch. I think that's just pervasive and not positive in the consumerism world we live in right now.
I entirely agree. I have two thoughts. One, just to put a bow on the streaming services thing. I'm like, it's literally a math problem for me at this point. I am in the minority in that I don't kind of turn on and off streaming services the way most people do. We pretty much always have Netflix, Hulu, and Prime. And I think we have Paramount because my wife likes to watch ghost shows, and those are typically on Paramount. Anyway, long story short, um, it's a math problem. I have YouTube TV right now. That costs like $85 a month at this
Yeah,
point.
that's
It was
expensive.
half of that at one point. I was a
Hmm.
PlayStation View watcher, if anybody remembers that from way
Oh,
back.
wow. There's a name I haven't heard in a while.
I loved PlayStation View. It was excellent. And then they went
Mm.
under because people thought you needed a PlayStation in order to watch it. You didn't. Anyway, um, it's a math problem. Is the streaming for the four sports I basically want to watch, which are baseball, basketball, hockey, and NASCAR? Can I get those through individual streaming services for $85 or less?
Mm.
Now, that doesn't
Yeah.
include the fact I got to pay an extra $20 if I want to get FanDuel for the Cavs and for the Blue Jackets, but so $105 or less, basically.
Yeah.
Which is going to win
Well,
out? We'll find out.
yeah. And I think
And
I'll just say my final thing on this is you mentioned how much things have gone up. Disney Plus came out in 2019 and I subscribed to it. At that time, it was $70 for the whole year with no ads. Now it's more than double that. And it's only been out for 5 years, 6 years
that
now.
that's how they
And
get
I
you.
think and I think the thing is when we have this discussion, we are discussing this as the consumer.
Mhm.
And I don't think that these changes, that they're not worried about the consumer, they're worried about the shareholder. And
It's
I
very
think that's the
easy
bottom
as a
line.
fan. Sorry to talk over you, Sam, but it's very easy as a fan. You see it on the internet all the time. Oh, this is so. The blackouts are a really good example. This is so stupid. Why do these exist? Da, 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 da. I can't watch my teams. Completely valid complaints. From a business perspective, those blackouts are the right move for the most
Hmm.
part. In that the exclusivity you are providing to the cable company is going to provide you with more funds than the single payout you get from individual fans. How do we know that? Because this model for the Guardians and the other teams that have had this model for this year, it's a 1 year deal, and we're on our way to ESPN now. That was not going to be a
Hmm.
sustainable business line. I do just
Yeah.
want to say on the Netflix thing real quick. I think that's a really interesting business decision as well for the Home Run Derby to be on Netflix. Netflix has obviously done some work to do one-off kind of novelty sporting events. The Home Run Derby is kind of a novelty one-off sporting event. How they present it again is going to be, to me, the interesting component. If they turn it into a Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight, I'm not going to be happy. It cannot be a meme. If it's a regular home run derby that they find a way to spruce up and make more interesting, I'm curious to see what
How
Netflix can do with it.
how about
But
a
there's a line there.
Jake Paul Mike Tyson home run derby?
I would watch that. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
let's
it's
do it.
I know because
Where
Netflix had the one NFL Christmas game last year, and I know that was Chiefs Steelers, right? We had it on in the background. I didn't
there
really
were
watch it.
two.
Okay, there were
There were
two.
two. There was the Chiefs Steelers game.
Oh yeah, then the Ravens Texans one,
And then there was a
right?
Texans game. But the other portion of that is they have to show, because I was at my parents' house, they have to show that game on local TV.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
So that Chiefs Steelers game, I think it was on our local NBC affiliate. I don't remember, but we were watching that game just on over-the-air TV.
Gotcha. No, because I know they increased the Christmas games because now the Lions are on Christmas too. So now the Lions play on Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I hope that's not becoming a yearly thing.
Christmas is a Thursday this year, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't
Whereas
know. Yeah.
I think that's the case. I think this year Christmas is a Thursday.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing as Thanksgiving, where you have your your weird Lions game that kicks off at like 11:30, and then you have your Cowboys game that kicks off at like 3 o'clock, and then you have your night game. So I think it's going to be the same thing on Christmas this year.
No, I just remember when the schedule was being released, through the Lions beat reporters that I follow, when they announced the Chiefs were playing on both Thanksgiving and Christmas, the Lions beat reporters were like, "Oh man, it sucks that they're gonna have to be working on both holidays." And then a couple hours later, they're like, "Well, shit," because now they got to work on both holidays.
They're getting paid enough to have to. They're getting paid enough to work on Christmas.
Hello, look who has.
Hi.
Well, hi,
Eric.
Hello there.
How was the photo shoot?
Oh my God, it's still going on. It's one of those in-house things.
I'll
be very happy the day she gets married and when she graduates school that this photo shoot happened, but today is not that day.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, my parents still have the ones that they took when me and my sister were 10 and 13 on the walls. So I have to see that every time I go home.
Yeah, it was fine. It was like an hour for me. The photographer's been here for like 2.5 hours. And there's like another hour left. So I vacated as fast as I could as soon as I was done. Was given full permission to be on here, and here I am.
All right, good to see you. We are wrapping up some thoughts on the ESPN MLB.
Oh, cool. Actually,
thing. If you have any big ideas you want to give us on that.
I don't. I do. In general, I don't see long-term how this is a bad thing. It does make you hesitant anytime Disney and ESPN, when they're at that level of corporate monstrosity, how they're going to handle it. You kind of worry about the price. But in general, for the 5 teams, Guardians, Twins, Diamondbacks, Rockies, Padres?
I think Padres, yeah. Sounds right.
I think it was those 5. I don't see how that's bad for any of those teams. Like, the visibility for those 5 specific teams are going to go up substantially just by being associated with ESPN. It doesn't sound like ESPN is going to take over the broadcast. It's just going to happens to be on ESPN, but I'll be curious what the pricing tiers are. But did anyone see what the pricing tiers are or no?
No, it's still so new. They haven't said anything about it.
That's one of my frustrations with all this is they always wait till the last minute to give you those details.
Right.
Right. If we're not going to find out till February, like, come on. I mean, because I have it automatically renewing for MLB TV. Like,
yeah.
Oh, I think they'll stop that. I'm guessing because the MLB, it doesn't sound like you're going to be using the MLB app to sign in to watch these games. You're going to be going to ESPN's new app where they got like the WWE network and all of their independent stuff.
That sucks. I like the MLB app.
So do
I do too. I'm going to guess. Well, I mean, I guess I don't know that. I don't know what their platform is going to look like, but I'm kind of okay.
I can tell you real quick, Eric, that ESPN Unlimited is the new service that they have, rolled out, and you can purchase that service for a cool $29.99 a month.
Yep.
Or $299.99. So it's basically $30 a month or $300 for the whole year.
Yep. Well, and again, this is all, nobody knows anything, but it sounds like the cover charge to watch these games is going to be that $39.99 plus the annual subscription is how I was taking it. Which sucks, but I also use the Hulu Disney Plus bundle that includes ESPN, so I'm already paying the $30. But it also sounds like Hulu's going away, so you kind of wonder what's going on with Disney. But I don't know, maybe it doesn't matter.
I think cover charge is a good way of putting it because I wish all sports were just like the NFL, where you could just watch it over the air, just buy an antenna for $20 and then just watch everything over the air.
Yeah, that's how I'm taking it. But like, I can see how. If I haven't watched ESPN in probably 15 years, like very much on purpose. And am I going to be real cranky if suddenly like Stephen A. Smith is now giving hot takes on, Joe Ryan? Yes, but that's probably not going to happen. I think they're just going to assume the broadcast, which I don't know. I'll be curious to see what the visibility of those teams are. I also would be now I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth. I'd also be curious to see, because these are 5 nice little ball clubs for Disney to experiment with, and I'd be kind of curious to see if they have much intervention in the broadcast, but we'll see. In general, I'm kind of in favor of it. I kind of like it the more I think about it.
I'm just imagining right now Stephen A. Smith just like, Joe Ryan, that man's exclusion from the All-Star game is a travesty. I tell you, I don't know.
I mean,
that would be funny and entertaining the first time, and then after that, it would
just get
let's be honest. He would be like, "Who's Joe Ryan? What is he?"
Yeah.
Did you know Stephen A. Smith is on General Hospital?
Yes.
Oh, that's right. I've seen the memes about it where he doesn't he shoot somebody or something, or
I don't know.
I forget.
He's like a recurring character. I only know this because I work at an ABC station. And so when we have all the TVs on during the daytime and General Hospital is on, occasionally I'll look up and see him, and he's like a recurring character. I don't know anything about it because the TVs are on mute. And so it's all just like them looking at each other with no dialogue. But yeah, the first time I saw Stephen A. Smith show up on that, I shit my pants.
He's also polled at higher than 0% as a Democratic candidate for president. So
yeah, that's true. That's true.
I still don't know how much he's serious or how much that's just a meme. I'm assuming it's mostly a bit, but
it's a
who knows
bit.
At this point?
He's looking for attention.
I'm trying to. Does anyone remember? This is now super old, but when Stephen Colbert was on the Colbert Report, and I think it was like the 2012 election or something. He got similar to Stephen A. He got primary votes. So for a week, he legitimately ran as the president of the United States of South Carolina because that's where he was getting the polls from. And I think he ended up getting like 10% or something. It was hilarious. It was really go find that because that was really funny how he did that. Because then they were also talking about how super PACs were coming in, and he made a mockery out. It was very, very well done political satire. Very good. But anyway,
R.I.P. Stephen Colbert.
Yeah, that's something different too.
I think my last note on this before we should probably move on is, I don't hate the Apple TV broadcast in general. I think it's decent. I hate the, there's a 15% chance he's going to hit a home run here because I have a bone to pick with that, and my statistics minor hates that. But after this past Friday Night Baseball, I didn't watch it because I was at the game. I heard it was the worst broadcast in the history of broadcasts. So you know what? Maybe it's time to move on from Apple TV.
Those Apple broadcasts are bad.
Yeah.
So
I really liked it when they had Ryan. Was it Steve Braun? Who's the guy in Foul Territory? Whoever that guy is. The first year that they did those broadcasts on Apple TV, I did like it because I liked his play-by-play. And then they got rid of him. And then, God bless Dontrell Willis, but he doesn't do it for me.
So for some reason, this past game, I saw some clips from it. Half of the camera angles were from the third base side for some reason. So they have Zach McKinstry's home run, and you can't see it because they just show the right field side from it was a really weird camera decision.
They had one where it was a fly ball to center field, and it was a shot from behind home plate.
Oh, that's annoying. That gives you no information. The 1950s World Series when they ever show those.
It's like sometimes on the Amazon Prime games where they show the NFL game from above. They show it vertically. And it's I don't want to see this. I don't shoot it like a tennis match. But anyway, we can move along because not only do we have an expansion of ESPN's portfolio, we might also have an expansion of the MLB itself, adding 2 new teams. There's been a couple cities here and there that have kind of looked like front runners for these 2 new teams. Eric, as a man whose team was almost kicked out of MLB many moons ago, what are your feelings on expansion?
It's about time. I think this is like the longest it's been. I think this is the longest in baseball history it's been without expansion. Like they've always added 2 or 3 teams every 20 years, and it's now reached past that
30.
because you have what was it? The Devil Rays and the Diamondbacks came in, and that was I
And the
still think
Marlins.
early 2000s, but I don't think that's the
97,
case.
98, something.
It was
was the
98.
90s.
98 was the first year.
Oh, that's right, because Diamondbacks won the World Series in 2001. So yeah, that would have been a hell of a story. But I like it. I think if Nashville doesn't get a team, MLB has been flirting with Nashville for about 40 years. It seems like just give them a team already.
Hell, during the offseason, there was the White Sox might sell and move to Nashville thing for like a week.
Yeah. Well, that's just what they've been. Because the Twins in the '90s were almost sold to an owner that lived in Nashville, so that was the threat. And that they're just Nashville's the threat of if you don't give us this stadium, we're going to move you to Nashville or Portland.
Yeah, I think it's very funny that Manfred gets on during the Williamsport broadcast for like an inning, is like, "Oh, we might expand soon," and leaves and just drops that bomb. Does not elaborate
Yeah.
and just refuses to elaborate, leaves meme. So.
Is the group here, are we for or against this?
So in general, I say expansion, yes, be cool. Not in the next 5 years, I would say. We have 2 MLB teams playing in minor league stadiums. Let's figure out what the hell they're gonna do before we start talking about adding new teams. That's kind of where I stand.
To that point, I think you could also say that if maybe there is a bit of a shotgun decision made in terms of an expansion and somebody has to play in a minor league stadium for a couple of years, there's now a precedent for that that maybe didn't exist in modern times the way, before. I think at face value, I do think expansion is a good move. I have kind of motives that are impractical for wanting that. I don't like interleague play, and I don't think it's ever going to go away. But you could make the argument now that if you get to an even number of teams in both leagues, you don't need interleague play anymore. I understand that's probably not the way that this is going to go, but that would be one of my motivations for it. I know alternatively, people are talking about completely dissolving the American and National League period, and I
Yep.
think that I don't necessarily agree with that, but that's a whole other thing we can get into. Beyond all that, yeah, I think it's the right move. But the one thing I will say against it is offensive numbers are down as it is today, right now. Teams seem to be able to find new and exciting ways to generate a relief pitching arm that throws 97 miles an hour with spin off a tree somewhere, very, very easily. They're not developing hitting in the same form or fashion. The game is already a bit depleted of offense. Adding 2 more teams and needing to fill 2 more rosters with hitters suggests to me that usually offense goes up when there's expansion.
Right.
Then this might go the other direction. We might be seeing a lot of 2-1 baseball games in our future with expansion, and that could be good, that could be bad, but I do think that's a potential unintended consequence of all this.
See,
Ultimately, I
my
do think
counter
it's good
argument.
to get an even number of teams in each league.
See,
Sorry, Lee, go
I
ahead.
My counter argument, because my dad mentioned that same point because we were talking about it this weekend, and my counter argument is okay. If you expand roster, you get more players up. You also get more pitchers up, more pitchers who would, or maybe not good. So that would also, I think, that would counterbalance any.
I guess my point is teams seem to be very much able to generate good arms a lot easier than
Right.
they can good hitters right now.
It seems like for the first 100 years, hitters were ahead of pitching, and now pitching is now far ahead of hitting.
All of the tech is now in
Yes,
favor
that's
of
true.
pitching. It's like, and maybe I'm butchering this. There are people that know history better than me on this podcast, but it's like trench warfare. It is very, very, very hard to be offensive now because of all the tech that's involved
Yeah.
in the sport and
See,
or in warfare.
I wonder if that's
I'm
catching up too. Go ahead, Sam.
I'm not a big fan of this. I would say I am decidedly con on expansion for MLB, and almost for the exact opposite reason as what Dan just outlined.
Okay.
Is I don't think that there are 32 teams worth of good pitchers to pitch in MLB.
Really?
I don't think there's 30 teams worth of good pitchers good enough to pitch in MLB. And it's the same thing that I feel about the NFL. I don't think there are 32 quarterbacks who are good enough to play in the NFL. Like, look at some of the guys who are going to be starting games week 1 for the for 40-year-old
What, you're not excited
Joe,
to watch Justin Fields start?
I
for
am
the
not
Jets?
excited to watch 40-year-old Joe Flacco start for the Browns week
No one
1.
is.
I am not
Yeah,
excited.
funny.
I'm sure. I am not excited to see Daniel Jones over Anthony Richardson on play for the Colts. And it's not just like there's not 32 teams worth of good defensive backs to play in the NFL. Like, do you know how hard it is to be a cornerback? That's really difficult. And there are not 64 guys who can do that. So I just think expanding MLB is really going to water down the product in a sport that already is not, is MLB the third most popular sport? Is it the fourth? Is it the fifth?
I guess
would
it
say
depends on how you
I think
count
it's solid third.
sports. I mean, okay, so NFL is first, or are we counting just football first? Because if we separate them out by league, it would be NFL, and then college football, and then
college football and college basketball, I think, are more popular than MLB. Are they not?
There's no way
I would say college
basketball is
football
more popular
is.
than MLB.
Do you
But
see what kind
MLB
of
is more
numbers the
popular.
tournament
Tournament
gets?
is.
Dan?
Right.
That's
It's,
just
it's
the
all the
tournament.
tournament.
The
though.
tournament,
That's just
the
the tournament.
NCAA tournament.
Right. But that's yes, because you
different.
have a lot of
because,
randomness
That's because
to it.
everyone and their grandmother does March Madness. It's not. That's
Right.
different.
I mean that's good to their branding. I think like Sam, where I disagree with like you're trying to compare an average game in April against the Twins and the White Sox versus the most exciting time of the college basketball schedule, and I don't think that's a fair comparison.
Well,
I don't watch
understand
college
that.
basketball. I love March Madness. I just like doing the bracket and following that because that's fun. Tournaments are.
I
fun.
would like to see the numbers for the World Series versus the numbers for the Final Four.
Sure.
All right,
and that's fair. Just to kind of go off that point, I feel like I'm for the expansion. I anytime you can expand responsibly, you can do it. It's 52 more jobs for players. It's it does well for those economies that are going to be there. I'm all for it. I even kind of like the sloppiness of the new garbage team because like they're kind of, I don't want to say like endearing, but like there's kind of this fan base in the team. We're like, well, we're going to suck, but we're going to suck together and we're going to love it for a little bit. But I guess one of my other points to kind of go with the other sports, to me, the gap between the absolute best player in baseball and the worst player on the worst roster is as the smallest in professional sports. That gap is as short as anyone. So, I mean, you can have miracle teams happen, but I'm okay with some sloppiness because I also feel like that team, regardless of how bad they are, is still going to win 50 games, and I think that's fine.
I kind of think Sam is right, and this is actually there aren't enough. We could afford to have more offense in the game, and I think the one place maybe your argument is sustainable, Sam, is well, I think you can still pluck as many 97 throwing with spin relief pitchers. There may not be enough starting pitchers to sustain two more teams. I could see that.
I could buy that. Yeah.
And I think I'm not against expansion entirely. Like, I think, like, I just specifically for MLB, specifically for baseball, with it not being the most popular sport and with the roster being so large, that's my concern. I think the NBA should expand. I think the NBA should go to 40 teams because the teams are smaller. You have enough talent, both domestically and internationally, to fill out 10 more teams in the NBA. basketball, NBA is the second most popular sport behind NFL, in my opinion. So like
See,
I would
I
love
think
to
And I
see
think
a
that's fair.
I don't think there's a discernible difference in popularity between baseball and basketball. I genuinely
Okay.
don't. I think
Oh, really?
they're
I looked
similar.
up the viewership numbers for the 2024 World Series and the
Here we
2025
go.
March Madness tournament. Okay, 2024 World Series, the games averaged 15.1 or 15.8 million viewers across all platforms.
It's a lot
Okay.
more
Okay.
than I thought it
More
would
than
be.
I would. That's more
Yeah,
than
that's what I thought too. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
be over 10. Like
Then the men's Final Four semifinal games averaged 15.5 million viewers.
comparable.
The championship game averaged 18.1
Okay.
million viewers.
Okay, so I would say then college basketball and MLB are probably
Sure.
about the same.
Sure. Can I
And
can I
keep
just
in
add-
mind that's because the basketball plays one game for the finals. World Series was
I would-
what, 5 games.
I would consider the Final Four weekend comparable to the World
Sure.
Series.
That's fair. Can I just and I can see the logic, Sam. I disagree with a couple things, because if the premise is baseball shouldn't expand because they're not as popular as other sports. Well, you're not going to be as more popular as other sports right away. You have to build towards something. Attendance is up slightly this year. ESPN MLB went from a dead deal with ESPN completely dropping it off the books to now 5 teams or might have more. Now it depends on what they do with it, but it appears as though baseball, and at least like the intermediate, appears to be growing. And I guess where I think baseball is in a better situation than any other sport is the sheer amount of games and volume that they can play, that they can simply fill up on a schedule every year. The only thing
It's the
people
largest
watch
amount
anymore.
of content.
Yes, the only thing people watch live anymore is sports. What sport has the most sport of all of the sport? It's baseball. It's 162 times 30 or maybe 32. I can't see how that isn't going to be more valuable,
Times 2.5 hours a night.
Yes, and that's easy television for ESPN to be like, I don't have nothing. I don't want to talk about, hopefully they would say, I don't want to talk about LeBron again.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just show, I don't know, the Guardians and the Twins because it's free for us to do so anyway.
You don't want to see more WNBA fight highlights during the dog days of summer on ESPN.
I've been trying to get my wife to, because like I want me and my wife to. We don't like share a common sport, but she used to play basketball, so I'm trying to get. Hey, let's like the Connecticut has a team. Like let's watch some WNBA. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I'll jump on the Caitlin Clark train and Angel Reese and all that stuff. But yeah,
I'm ready to be a WNBA fan in 2029. 2029, Detroit Shot returns.
When I was listing my sports I watch, I forgot the WNBA earlier. My bad. That's also something that it's with that. Baseball's the only other thing going on in the summer on a daily basis. So I watch a New York Liberty game here and there.
One note for the viewership is so I looked up Game 5 average 18.6 million viewers. But also last year's World Series had a 67% increase from 2023 because it was Dodgers Yankees.
That's what I was just about to say as well. Is that last year's World Series was the Dodgers?
It was the highest it was the highest since 2016, I think.
Yeah, precisely. And 2016 was the Cubs on their 100-year curse-breaking. So.
Yeah, and the Indians hadn't won in 80 years too, so I think both of those are going to be draws.
Just because we haven't talked about it, like how beautiful was Game 5 of last year's World Series? Like how chef's kiss good. The Yankees just imploding in one inning. Living in the New York market. Let me tell you, I was so proud. I was so happy.
Season.
It was so much fun. Okay, I fell asleep in the 6th inning, but I woke up and the Dodgers had ended up winning, and I'm like,
beautiful.
My favorite thing I think I saw on the internet last year was somebody on Reddit said something. If you start Game 5 of the World Series at 8:36 p.m. and 54 seconds, you can watch the ball drop at midnight. And it was Aaron Judge dropping the ball.
That's awesome.
I saw because I saw someone with a not a bumper sticker, but a car sticker with the 5th inning before disaster happens. And I'm like, and they also had a. It was a
There
very
was a T-shirt
nice
with that same thing here. I almost bought. It was just the top 5 Dodgers at bat. Like 2 guys on or something like the moment before disaster struck, and it was just a T-shirt with that box score. And I should have ordered it. I don't know where I can get it now.
It's I love that because now we got a new 28-3 for the Yankees this time. They're never gonna live it down. Fantastic.
Anyway, expansion. Did we talk about the divisions?
Well, before we get there, I think Eric, you mentioned Nashville. Personally, I would not be surprised at all if Charlotte gets a team.
Yeah.
That's actually where I think this is headed. As they have they're in all 3 other major sports. I think technically the NHL's in Raleigh as opposed to Charlotte, but North Carolina.
The area.
And Charlotte's like the banking capital of the Southeast. That is a financially well put together little city they got going on there. I do think the financial resources would be there. And what's going to really pull a decision? Financial resources. So maybe they'll go 2 Southeast teams. I don't know. I'm not willing to stake anything on it, but I think Charlotte will, if I had to guess, would be one of the teams.
I think that's an interesting point, Dan. And Lee, can you go on to the next slide for my experiment that I did? So this is MLB parentheses Taylor's version. This is basically the realignment of MLB as the NFL divisions.
Oh, sure.
So some of these were pretty straightforward, right? With the AL West. Obviously, that would be the Royals as the Chiefs, the Rockies as the Broncos, the Angels as the Chargers, and the A's as the Raiders, right? That's pretty easy to do. Some of these are a little bit difficult, and the ones that are more difficult are the South divisions, because there's not a lot of representation of MLB teams in the South.
Can I predict why you put the White Sox in the South Division?
Why?
Because they're on the south side of Chicago.
That is one reason. Also, I needed a replacement for the Indianapolis Colts, right? And like the same thing with the Blue Jays. I needed a replacement for the Bills, so
It works.
But some of these, it's like I think if they do expand, there's going to be a Tennessee team, whether it's Nashville or wherever. I think that other team, because I just wrote new team on AL South, I think that other new team needs to be somewhere in the South, whether that's a team in one of the Carolinas, whether that's a team in New Orleans, whether that's a team wherever. You're going to need more representation of MLB in the southern states.
I know you did this on a whim, but the Astros will not miss the playoffs for the next 50 years underneath this division.
I know.
You really want another 50 years of Astros making the ALCS?
2 expansion teams and the White Sox, and the Astros are like, well, we're going wherever the champion is.
We're winning 120 games this year. Oh,
yeah. Kings of Shit Mountain.
You say that, but lest we forget, the Diamondbacks won the World Series in 3 years.
This is true.
Yeah.
But this is just my little rubric, and I think it was an interesting experiment to see, where the teams are.
It's a good starting point. I mean, I don't know how I feel about the Twins in the NL for the first time, because they go all the way back to the Center days in the American League, but it doesn't matter. I'd be fine with this.
Well, and that's also one of the other ones that was really easy to do, because that NFL division lines up really well with, the Tigers, Twins, Cubs, and Brewers.
Mm-hmm.
I could get behind a division. Maybe it'd switch the Cubs or the White Sox, whatever Chicago team, but it's just basically the NFC North, but the baseball teams, because NFC North rivalries are very fun right now. it's just a whole another level of toxic right now.
Yeah.
That could be. I could buy into that. I guess is my point.
Do you know who I think would be a real fun expansion city? It doesn't have to be this specific, but just the general. I would love it if Mexico would get a team. I think that would be really fun. Should it be Mexico City? No, because there would be 9 billion runs scored. But
Mhm.
if
also
they
just
can
too far
figure
away.
out decently, so I think that would be a lot of fun because I think,
Yeah.
or like Puerto Rico or something. Like, they won't do that because Puerto Rico has its own issues and things like that. But I think Mexico getting a team would be really fun.
I do think, to Sam's point, this works a lot better if you either have two South teams or two. Every exercise I've seen done this week, it's a lot easier if you have two teams either in the South or in the West. Portland and Salt Lake are probably, or Monterrey from
Mm-hmm.
Mexico. It's either, but again, the ease of making divisions isn't going to be the decision maker here. It's going to be finance. So we might get Portland and Charlotte or Portland and Nashville.
This is fun.
And then you're just going to make the divisions as best you can, I'm afraid.
I know the
I am
Sorry,
curious.
go ahead.
Do we prefer 4-team divisions or 8-team? I prefer
Yeah,
8.
I was about to
just
say
think
that. I prefer 8 too.
there's a great
Mm.
chance to have a 79 win team win a division if you have 8 divisions of 4.
Everyone's
teams.
been making 8 4-team divisions because that's how football does it. But I think the best way is to have 4 8s. It's to do it the other way. 4 18.
I'm curious of the psychology behind it, though, because obviously the reason why the playoffs have been expanded in the first place is to give more teams the opportunity to compete deeper into the season, more eyeballs for the league. Is there a psychology to, if you're in a 4-team division and you're in first or second and you trick yourself more into being interested longer than if you're in an 8-team division and you're in third and technically you're still in the hunt, but just the psychology of, oh, we're in third.
Right.
I don't know how I feel about that. That I'm curious about. I would assume that might be a factor that gets considered. I just think it makes a lot more sense to have the 18 divisions to avoid the equivalent of a 7 and 9 or 8 and 9 team now, I guess.
So would we also be keeping the playoffs the same?
That's a great
under
question.
this 12 team? Because then if you had 4 teams of 8 or 4 divisions of 8, you would have the top 2 teams from each division and the 2 best third place teams.
Well, I do wonder if we're going to have an eight teams in each league that make the playoffs now, which I sure hope we don't. I think the playoffs are
I think that
inflated
might
as it
be a bit.
is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it would be 4 division winners or 2 division winners and then the 4 best teams.
Is anyone opposed to just doing like before the division, just American League, National League, 1 through 8, or 1 through 16?
I do think that's a bridge too far, just
I think it's
because
a bit.
then now if you're an 11th in your league, that's tough. I don't think they'll do
Yeah.
that.
Well, and that's the other thing. That's the other thing that you bring up because, like, the NBA has divisions,
But they don't
and the
matter.
the NHL has divisions too. They do not matter in the least bit. They just do the teams 1 through 8. So I could imagine seeing a scenario where if the MLB does realign, divisions don't matter anymore, and it's just 1 through 6 make the playoffs.
Do we,
I'm
and on this, the other topic is, do we care about the American League and National League, or are we okay with those dissolving and going to a regional-based Eastern and Western
I want to
conference?
keep it American National League. I mean, it's been that way for 150 years. I mean,
I think now that the pitcher doesn't hit, it doesn't. It's done. It's gone. I think now that everyone plays everyone, now that the pitcher doesn't hit, now that there's all these changes that they've made, I think that's what we're going toward. And it wouldn't I don't think it would bother me if they got rid of AL and NL.
I
I
still
mean, I
want
guess.
Go ahead.
that it would bother me.
What too?
Yeah.
There are certain things that I understand, like we've done it this way for 150 years. Isn't always, God knows, isn't always a good reason to keep something going.
Yeah.
But in this instance, there's no practical reason why it does make it different. Like pitchers hitting, people have opinions on that. I thought it was boring. There's a practical reason why that could change. You could disagree or agree with it, but there was a reason why you could argue the product is better because we don't have pitchers hitting anymore. To me, all things are equal, whether you do National League and American League or not. Why not just keep the tradition in this case of it? You've been doing it this way for this long. People are used to it. It's comfortable. I don't, it would bother me that there's no discernible reason to make a change on that. And we're just it's just change for the sake of change because we can, to me.
This is kind of going back to you're not a fan of interleague play. I do like it. I'm fine if it would go away. I do like it just as a person who is now relocated from his team, that I get the option to maybe go watch them and play the Nationals every other year. Like I like that, but that's a unique problem to me. And then did I go to the Nationals last time the Twins were in town? No, but like it is nice. Like if they are on a weekend, I could go to DC and do it, or like they're already in Baltimore, New York, so I could still watch them. But I do like that I get to see them, or like if I'm bored and the Dodgers happen to be playing the Yankees in Yankee Stadium, that would be fun to go to for me. But
that's a fair point, because here in Cleveland now, once every 2 years, you get a chance to see Shohei Ohtani play.
Yeah,
just like back in the day. Even if, now LeBron's in the Western Conference. Every year he comes to Cleveland once because we don't segregate the conferences that way. You always have a chance to see the stars every year now, or in this case, it would be every other year if you're in the opposite division.
You might get to see Superman in Cleveland too if you're lucky.
Born and raised here, technically.
We don't have to, but I did do that. I mean, do we want to, like, if there were 4 8-team divisions, and if we do AL East, West, and NL?
Oh, I guess I had that before. I would probably just go back to the '90s version of, or like whatever the Twins. So yeah, it was.
The problems are the Centrals, right? Because they had to get split.
Right.
Unless
but even
you
back
do
in the day, it was what Cleveland and Minnesota seemed to be the dividing line. Cleveland was in the East, Minnesota was in the West, and it seems like if you were between those teams, it was, I don't know, but.
Well, and the problem again with MLB is that so many of the teams are so and this is a problem with everything, by the way, is that everything's so concentrated on the East Coast.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that you have so many teams where it's like in the NBA, the Grizzlies are in the Western Conference.
Right.
Yeah. I will say, despite everything I said, and I still stand by it about wanting the bigger divisions, the thought of being in a division with the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Blue Jays, the financial might of those teams doesn't sound ideal. But
yeah.
But damn, the Twins and the Guardians now have that sweet Mickey Mouse money coming in.
That's fair. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more than happy to be in a division with the Rockies, the Angels, and the A's.
Yeah, if you end up going to the West, then yeah. I don't know, because this is.
I view Missouri as more East. No.
I don't
think it's going to.
But I think there's so many other teams that's more east of them, right?
Yeah, and because Kansas City's on the west side of the state.
East of them.
Houston's definitely west.
Houston would be west. Twins, where would the
Twins have to probably be west too.
Twins were west last time. Yeah,
and then you go here, and then St. Louis would be west, and then then you put
the Brewers were west last. No, Brewers were east last time.
Yeah,
they were the AL East.
Okay, so then you got one expansion team in Portland and one expansion team in Charlotte.
Nashville. Charlotte. Yeah.
Yeah, because you could do that.
I wouldn't mind seeing this also just rebranded as North versus South.
We've done that before. It didn't work out well. It was a whole thing. I don't know if you know this.
Look, we're just talking about teams' rights here, Eric.
It's okay. Calm down, cowboy.
Yeah, and if we did 4 divisions, I don't know if we really want to sit here and
I mean, there's
do
nothing. I mean,
these.
until the teams get announced on where they're going to go, this is all.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it just for the, the hypothetical and where teams go, but because it would be not. I mean, I'm curious to see where the Twins play. Selfishly, I'm bummed to see the AL Central go, but like,
Yeah,
it's not going to change anything.
Well, and again, this is all like, all of this is up in the air right now.
Right.
Yeah, this is Rob Manfred said one thing offhanded, and now everyone's freaking out.
I will say, Rob Manfred does not say things offhand by accident. Like, I feel like that was pointed. Think of
about that.
Yeah, like what reason are you thinking of? Because I
don't know. I'm thinking of the time that he referred to the World Series trophy as a piece of metal.
This is fair. He had a real rough start to his commissionership.
He did. He did.
I think, begrudgingly, I think he's been pretty good for the sport.
I do too.
The Astros thing, the Astros, one, should have gotten the World Series title taken away from them. I don't care if the players got suspended. I would have probably taken away their draft for 5 years and spread it out.
Someone I talked to had an interesting idea, and I don't know if they would have been able to do this. They should have been banned from the postseason.
Sure.
That would have been
like college sports wise. Like I'm sure that I don't know if that would have actually been feasible, but that's what I would have. That's the punishment I think would have been appropriate, is banned from the postseason.
Anything other than what was settled, I was fine with. Because even they got a $15 million fine. Ooh, what a big thing for a billionaire to pay. It was the biggest fine in baseball history. Okay, well, it means nothing in the context of a billionaire.
Mm-hmm.
I get the point of that, Sam, but MLB wasn't going to punt the fifth biggest city in the country for 5 years and make them just completely disinterested in the sport.
Yeah.
All right.
Do we have any more thoughts on the expansion potential realignment?
Not necessarily. It'll be fun to see. In general, I'm pro expansion. I hope Nashville finally gets their goddamn team, because that poor whatever fan base has been interested, they've been waiting for it for a while now.
Yeah. So
I guess I guess my thing is, I don't want to split up the AL Central because it's been this division my entire life.
It could be the death of this podcast.
Or the expansion.
We can't be the AL Central rundown anymore. We have to be the random Midwest teams roundup.
That's fine.
There you
go. Foul Territory was only one show, and they have a bunch of other avenues. It's my hope, and I'm sticking to it. Hey, Sam got rid of the lawn deck chair for a real chair. That's exciting.
Yeah, I have a new Route 66 chair at my disposal.
It's very nice. It is a big upgrade. Yeah. But no, I don't have any more thoughts on the expansion unless anyone else does.
Yeah. So, I guess if that's what we want to do, we can just move on to the recap.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right, I'll let you take the lead on this recap, Lee.
Yeah. All right, so Royals Tigers. I was actually at the first game, and then finally I got to see a game where the Tigers won, because I was 1 for 7 the past 3 years or something. Yeah, but it was so I did a little in-person scouting. It was a very fun game. I got to see All-Star Javi Baez in center field. So very, very nice. Me and my dad did this thing where every time there's a new pitcher warming up in the bullpen, we kept trying to guess who it was. We were wrong every single time. So yeah, so it was a good game. Mize was, I don't know, he was a little all over the place. He kept either completely missing or he could not miss a bat. Like, he was getting hit pretty hard pretty early on. And so Royals scored 3 runs there in the third. Royals are hot right now. I mean, I know they lost the last 2 against the Tigers, but before that they were 8-2, right?
Yeah, 8-2 on the homestand.
Yeah, so they're doing well offensively, and pitching wise. I mean, like we said, they have good pitching. So we were not really able to get to Berger very much. It was CMU day at Comerica. Zach McKinstry,
That
first
was
at
cool.
bat. Yeah, first at bat comes up. They play the CMU fight song for his first at bat. He hits a home run. Next at bat, he hits a triple. Yeah, he's a double short of the cycle for the day. That was fun for him. And the big turning point came in bottom of the sixth. There, Riley Green hits a 2-out, two run home run against that was a Zerpa, right?
Yep.
In?
Zerpa.
Yeah, Zerpa came in on relief and left on left home run to tie up the game. That was a monster home run, by the way. It went like 80 feet in the air, 430.
Yeah, he was about to fall on the ground after he swung by the looks of it.
Yeah, his first at bat or second, one of his earlier at bats, he hit a bomb like 15 feet foul, and then when he came up, I was like, do the same thing, but put it like 30 feet to the left, and then he hits a bomb to the deepest part of the park. That was it. So it was fun. So tied it up, and then we had a MLB debut for coming out of the bullpen. He got his 1 out, and then he walked the first 2 in the next inning. So, and then Kyle Finnegan is amazing. He got Bobby Witt Jr. Doubled up, and he got it into 2 double plays that game, which is unusual. But Tigers were able to score a bunch of runs in the 7th there, and kind of really ran away with it there. I did like because Zach went to first to third on the Javi Baez single, and the throw in hit him in the helmet, and then like ricocheted off really weird, which allowed him to score.
I was watching.
Sorry.
This is kind of a side tangent here, but does anyone feel, I was thinking of this the other day, we don't talk about Bobby Witt nearly enough, do we? He's the Jose Ramirez of this podcast.
I guess you really don't talk about him enough.
I can't remember last time he was a top. He's like the best player in the division, and let's crickets on him.
Well, I'll say this. I think one thing is that he's not having the year he had last year. Bobby Witt.
What is he having?
Neither of the Royals.
Selfishly, can you pull up this page? I'm curious about this.
He's having a good year. Make no mistake about it. I think he's leading the league in doubles.
Yeah.
But he's not been. Bobby Witt Jr. being good is not the story.
Right.
Know? Like there are other. But yes, I agree. Bobby is someone who we should be talking about more.
He's still 6? Is that what the screen says? 6 WAR.
5.9 WAR. He's got 40 doubles, 19 home runs.
God, he's just so good.
OPS of 860, which represents a drop of 100 points from last season.
Yeah, because last season he was insane. So any drop is gonna look. He's not stealing as much as he has in previous years. I don't know if that's like intentional or just.
The Royals have been pretty bad on the bases this year, and so as of the last little bit, they've been a little bit more conservative on that because I think Michael Garcia was like 2 for 7 on stolen bases to start the season in like the first 2 weeks.
When you start off that, you're just not. The manager's telling you, no, we're not doing that anymore. Try again next year.
So they've been a little bit more conservative this season, just as a result of that. But yeah, I don't know, Bobby. He's always going to be there, right. And it's the same thing with it's the same thing with Patrick Mahomes, He's going to be there. He's going to be your guy. He's going to – but what's around him, right? What is the supporting cast is, I feel like, more of the story. So, But that's just me.
Anyway, sorry.
These 2 games, are hard to sit through. really, this first game, you're leading, you're ahead, you've got a really good chance to take game one, and then Bailey Falter comes in a tie game, and the moment Falter entered the game, I was just like, oh, it's over.
It fell apart. Like Tiger scored 3 runs before getting without even getting an out, and I couldn't believe that they left him in for so long. Like, and then they left him in for the 8th inning, and I was like, wait a second, they didn't take Bailey Falter out. I was like, what are they doing?
Yeah. Well, and Lee, here's the thing. They brought him out there because they acquired him at the trade deadline. And let me give you the numbers for Mr. Bailey Falter as he has come to the Royals this season. He has pitched 12 innings. He has given up 15 earned runs in those 12 innings. He has had 11 strikeouts. He has had 7 walks. And he has allowed 2 home runs. And we can also add 1 trip to the injured list as of yesterday onto that onto those stats, because he is on the IL as the Royals did shuffle up the roster a little bit. We're working with a left bicep contusion. So
is that an actual injury, or is that we need to get him off this roster?
He was hit by a line drive.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
No, I went and got water, and that's why I missed that part of the game.
Yeah, he was hit by a line drive, and so that game was particularly frustrating, just because the Royals had a chance to steal that game and then just fell apart. And then the second game, I'm going to be honest with you, I was just got back from Battle of the Brews while that game was on. So I was pretty much falling asleep during most of this game. And that's appropriate because the Royals never really had a chance and it was a real snooze fest. So I don't have a lot of thoughts on yesterday's game other than the fact that they failed to win.
Yeah, they couldn't really hit. They were hitting Paddock kind of well, but they weren't really scoring any of those runs. So they'd get on base and then not really do anything with it. But then the bullpen pretty much shut them down, except for first pitch Troy Melton does out of the bullpen. Bobby Witt Jr. hits it 400 feet to left field.
Mm-hmm.
I'm exaggerating on that, but
yeah. And so they put Falter on the injured list, and they brought up Jonathan Bolin, who's just a reliever who's been up and down between Kansas City and Omaha this year, who's been he's been fine. He's not, nothing to write home about. He's got a 4.73 ERA this year. So a lot better than a 11-something ERA.
Yeah, Vinny hit a 2-run homer that the second game with 2 outs is a little, because we were all standing up for the final out, and then he has a bomb to right field. Like, right.
Well, that was his franchise record tying 5th straight game with a home run.
Yeah, it wasn't even a bad pitch. It's just he's on fire right now. Sometimes no matter what you throw those guys, they're not going to miss it. So
yeah,
it was But yeah,
Vinny's been good.
Yeah. Do you have thoughts on bringing Zerpa in and switching out Burgert for Green? Or is it kind of just right move, wrong?
Zerpa's been good, and I don't hate it. The other thing is Burgert is a rookie, and I don't think he was at like 90 pitches or something at that point. I don't remember exactly.
It was something around there, yeah.
I mean, I don't like the result, but I don't hate the decision. Just because I think that Zerpa's a pretty reliable bullpen option.
So I'm curious because I mentally, every time I see him, I think, why did they put him? Like, I just think he's, in my mind, I have him almost unplayable for some reason, even though I've never looked up anything about
But he's been
Zerpa.
good.
Zerpa's got a .6 WAR,
Is this him here?
3.69 ERA in 53 innings this year. So, and he's been, that's pretty much what he's been his whole career.
He doesn't
Yeah,
really give up
strikeout.
many home runs, too.
Yeah, his
Yeah.
strikeout rate isn't what you'd want it to be. It's bad for a reliever. His walk rate's a little high, but no, he's pitched. His FIP is perfectly fine. I don't know.
Yeah,
I just need to get over my bias of Angel Zerpa, I guess.
He's
Well, let me
serviceable.
Let's see. Let me look at him versus lefties, because he came in to go against Green, and yet he's good against lefties.
Yeah, 617 OPS. That's good.
So again, and look, Riley Green, give up a home run to him. No shame in that. He's, what was like the next pick after Bobby Witt Jr. or 2 picks after Bobby Witt Jr. in
Right
that
around
draft,
there, he was like 9th.
if I remember correctly. So I think he was like 3rd or 4th, wasn't he? Riley Green?
No, maybe you're right. Maybe he was like 5th, but yeah, he was.
Yeah,
I mean, he was right.
Because Adley Rushman was number 1 and Bobby was number 2. And then I think Green was in the top 5 as well. So
Yeah, I don't remember the numbers most of these, but
I just remember that 2019 draft has a lot of guys in it.
Yeah, you're right. He was 5th. I don't know why I thought 9th for some reason.
Yeah. So anyway,
but and plus, like I said, his last at bat against Berger, he hit a foul ball 400 feet, just foul. So like he was hitting Berger well. I think it was the right move. I just wondered if you had any. But again, it's hindsight.
I don't hate it. I just think that it's just it was a tough game to watch. So I think that this is going to be, again, it's not the end of the world. The sky's not falling. The Royals need to win today and salvage one game from this series.
Yeah, I think that game just started. I haven't seen.
Just started, middle of the first. And then they've got 3 against the White Sox. And then next weekend, they've got another 3 against the Tigers. So let's win tonight, or win this afternoon, and then hopefully win 2 out of 3 in Kansas City. And hopefully even more, win on Saturday, because I'm going to the game on Saturday. Nice. Hawaiian shirt night on Saturday too. So this is my my Royals Hawaiian shirt from a couple years ago, presented by Miller Lite. So,
nice.
But anyway, I think that those are all the thoughts I had for that recap.
Yeah, it was a good series. I mean, I think Royals didn't play bad for the most part. I mean, runners in scoring position, they didn't. The second game didn't really take advantage of a lot of those, but the first game they did. I think the Tigers are just the clear better team at this moment. It's so yeah.
And
I mean,
Royals,
expected result happened. Royals are playing good right now, though. So
yeah, the Royals are not, outside of these games. The Royals are not competing with the Tigers for a playoff spot, right? There was a little moment there where the Tigers could have, lost everything this season, but I think they're back in gear, and the Royals, they need to win games. They need to win games and try to get some of these wins against good teams. So
yeah, we forgot to go over the standings earlier because we jumped right into the ESPN part. But yeah, Tigers are now up 11.5 games in the division.
Yeah,
it's pretty much a done deal at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Royals are 3.5 games back of the wild card. They're the last team back. So they're number 4. They're right there.
Have you told Tigers Reddit all like the negative Nancy's to shut the F up yet, or have they just gone away themselves?
Oh yeah, everyone's like, "Hey, where's all the people saying we were going to lose the division?" Yeah. So, hey, the one guy that I showed you the screenshot of the one post, he's He's complaining about how the Lions are going to go 7 and
God.
whatever.
Block him. F that guy. Just block the dude. Not worth your time anymore.
Yeah. So in case you were wondering what he's up to, Lions are gonna go 7 and 10.
I hope he has a great life, and this is what he has to complain about in order to complain about something in his life. If not, boy, that's sad.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Did we talk about who was it? Who quit social media the other day?
Oh, I haven't talked about that yet. No, we could do that now, or we can move on to the next recap. It's up to you guys.
Let's get the recap out of the way. I think
Sure.
would be the best way to do this.
That's called the teaser in the business, right there, Sam.
Yes, a little tease. Yes, coming up next on the AL Central Rundown podcast. Quitting social media.
Well, the recap for this is these teams suck. Dan, go ahead. Oh God, the Twins are so bad. I mean, they're just. I don't think they're giving up. They have young players. I'm looking at their baseball reference page right now. They've had 23 separate position players this year, and 34 separate pitchers. It's going to be 35 today because Taj Bradley's making his debut. Last night, Mick Abel, who was traded for Joan Duran, made his debut. It did not go well, as you can see from the 7-3 score. Basically, it was all in one inning. He didn't look good. He looked like he has the stuff to be good. Will that necessarily make him good in the future? Maybe not. We'll see. But it was fine, considering where they're at. I would rather see Mick Abel get destroyed in the majors than continue to pitch in AAA, because he was dominating AAA, and that's just where this team is at. Taj Bradley starts today. He was the Griffin Jacks acquisition. We'll see what he has. He has not looked all that impressive in the majors, but maybe the Twins have been tweaking with his pitch in AAA. Do not go look at his AAA numbers, because those have not been pretty at any. I think his ERA might start with a 7 for the Twins in AAA, but yeah, we'll see. Maybe a switch hits when you hit the majors, but I think you tend to get hit more. We'll see.
I like the discrepancy in the expected batting average. Pretty consistently, White Sox have the better expected batting average.
I mean, that's just with the Twins bullpen. I mean, the Zebby Matthews was for game 1. He just needs to figure out consistency. He is. Think of your favorite pitcher that can strike out the entire lineup, but then also leave 5 balls in the middle of the plate that get smashed. And you're just frustrated, like, well, why do you just leave it in the middle? Like, if you can just not do those 5 pitches, you're going to have 7 innings of 1-run ball and like 9 strikeouts. But
did you mean Jack Flaherty?
Yeah, that's name X pitcher. We've all could think of those, and that's what he needs to work on until he stops leaving pitches dead red. There's not going to be any. There's no path to success for that. Mick Abel, I guess, was kind of the same thing, but
I was really surprised to learn that Royce Lewis had 6 grand slams. Like,
yeah,
how?
It was because he had 5. He had 5 in his rookie year, and then this should also tell you. I mean, granted, grand slams. I think Don Mattingly, he and Royce are now tied for the most grand slams in a single year. Don Mattingly had 5 in that year. He had 5 for his career. He never hit one the rest of his career. Grand slams are weird. I think, Lee, you said Miguel Cabrera has like 6 or something.
Yeah, 6. Jake Rogers has 4. It's weird.
Kirby Puckett has 4, and Royce Lewis is already past him. And he is the twin of all twins when you think of the franchise. But I think Byron Buxton might have 1 or 2 if he even has that many. Yeah, they're just bad teams. There's really not much to really recap for it. Brooks Lee has been playing better. Royce Lewis, I think, needs to play for his career the rest of the... Not that I'm saying he will not be on a major league roster next year, but he needs to either prove he is a dude or just one of the dudes. He's been bad for over a year now. He had a pretty worrisome quote the other day saying like he's hesitant to switch his swing mechanics because it's an arbitration year. And Royce, I don't know if you've seen your baseball reference page, but maybe it's time for some tweaks because the arbitration money is not going to be pretty this year for you. So we'll see.
That's saying the quiet part out loud in a big way.
Yeah, and I'm fine with the quote, like, because like I guess I'm fine with him saying I'm doing this for my arbitration. Yeah, what's his OPS plus this year?
85.
85 for a third baseman. Good job, Royce. Way to not make those swing adjustments. This is really working out for you.
I mean, his on base is pretty much his batting average and on base are pretty much the same as they were last year, but the OPS has gone way down.
Yeah, he's just not hitting the ball. I think he has like 6 home runs this year. He had that grand slam. It's just the downfall of him has been staggering because he looked unstoppable. Yeah, middling, meh. Now go back 2 years.
This
yeah,
is
just
23. Yeah.
I mean, he's no longer young. He missed a lot of years with development with injuries. It just hasn't clicked. He needs to play better.
The rolling XWOBA is.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, what is nice to see is this isn't something that you're going to throw a parade for. His sprint speed, if anybody remembers, about 6 weeks ago, it was literally like 6th percentile. They basically told him, like the thought, they were telling him not to run because he always gets injured, and now the thought is, well, he's probably going to get injured anyway. Let's let the horse run for a little bit and see what happens. So there is some murkiness in that average sprint speed. He's probably closer to a league average runner than he is, 32%, but certainly not the near Byron Buxton wheels that he came in through the minors with.
I love that thinking, by the way, of, well, right. You're probably going to get injured anyway, so just go for it, buddy.
Do whatever.
It's like,
and the sad part is, maybe this is just my Stockholm syndrome, but like I get the logic. Like if he's going to get at least get the full player and then have him get hurt. Don't have him be 0.25% of what he is and then he's going to get hurt anyway. Ride the horse. I don't know. And it's not like they're asking him to dive head first or to run over the catcher. They're just asking him to sprint. That's something an athlete should be able to do.
Yeah, that's not asking too much.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the recap. Twins won.
Who are these pitchers? Grant Taylor and Jordan Leisure. Because I'm pretty sure I've never heard of them before.
Both White Sox.
Okay.
Leisure is definitely a reliever for the White Sox. I've seen him before.
Yeah. I think the name kind of rings a bell, but I couldn't really remember already.
One thing I didn't mention, Alan Roden was in Minnesota for 10 minutes and got hurt for a season-ending thumb injury.
That's
so to flip the sign on days without Minnesota Twins injury back to 0.
Yep. It's so James Outman, who was also acquired at the deadline, he's been up. He's been fine. He's wearing 43 because I'm going to assume he wanted 34. Well, you can't have that in Minnesota because that was Kirby Puckett, but 43 on a position player looks really weird to me.
Yeah, I think Colson Montgomery is going to be a dude. He's been good since he came up, pretty much. I think he's going to be one of those guys.
Sosa's had a nice year for them. He's probably been their best position player. He's fine. I don't think he's going to be. I don't think you can build a franchise around him, but he can be a good secondary player. There's certainly value to that.
Yeah. Anyways, we want to talk just we kind of skipped over standings and news and stuff for every team. If anyone has stuff that they want to talk about. Oh yeah, what we said for Dan.
Yeah, I don't really have any news to talk about outside of what I mentioned with Falter. So I would say Dan can just go ahead and cook with the. Go ahead, Dan.
So I am going to do news for the Guardians. I think we want to lead off though with something that I noticed yesterday on online, Tim Smith. Tim Smith is probably a name that you're not aware of, and that's completely normal and fine. Tim Smith is the father of Guardians now closer Cade Smith. Uh, Mr. Smith had been enjoying interacting with fans online on social media. I actually hadn't really witnessed much of this. I wasn't aware really until this post I saw yesterday, but that was something that he was doing, and it seemed like it was good, good natured
Right.
for everybody. And well, yesterday, Mr. Smith came out with his latest post on, I believe this is X, and I'm just going to read it verbatim because I think it tells the story the best. Quote, sorry, Guardians fans, but leaving social media. I like the team, many of the fans, the players, the parents of players, etc. But there are so many vile, cursing, threatening fans that we can no longer take it. The gamblers and nut jobs make it not a great media. Their timeline is full of the worst words. They curse and threaten players and their families. They have pics of their kids in their bios and then proceed to threaten others. When people threaten to find a player slash family and hurt them, something is wrong.
It's been a
Absolutely vile, disturbing, unbecoming of any fan of the team that I root for, and just disgusting. I had a
Right.
bunch of questions earlier when we were talking about MLB and ESPN. I have a bunch of questions here, and they're mostly rhetorical. But I don't understand that line of thinking. We've talked about kind of the nature of fandom and maybe some fans that we don't really care for on this podcast before, and this is just another one of those situations. Um, and all I can come up with is there is a group of people of poor character out there that have to ruin everything for everybody else. I can't figure out another answer to why
Right.
people think it's okay to behave this way. And that I think is kind of bigger than baseball. It's kind of our greater society at the moment, but this is just another example of baseball being a microcosm of our society. Um,
I think
do, do people just say stuff on the internet because they just perceive the internet as not real? Like,
Yeah. I think that's it.
is
in a
yeah.
that it, or
mass.
do they think they're funny? Do they consider athletes zoo animals? I mean, I treat zoo
Right.
animals better than this.
Yeah,
It's with the Mike Tyson quote. People have gotten too used to being able to say stuff on the internet without getting punched in the face.
Mhm.
Whatever the
I
saying
just I
is.
don't I get a so background on this is I perceive the background on this to be Cade Smith came in on Friday night. The Guardians had a one-run lead. It took 7 pitches for Cade Smith to blow that lead and lose the game to the Rangers. That is not an excuse for this behavior, by the way, but I'm
Right.
assuming the context that led to this situation. I have never in my life, in that instance, where a player on my team failed to do his job well. Oh, I'm going to threaten his children or his family.
Yes.
No, why would you ever? That's why I land where I land. To have those thoughts in the first place, it
it's
disturbs me. It bothers me. I'm obviously rambling about it,
So
but
I
it feels like selfish, foul people that have nothing else better going on in their lives, quite frankly.
it's a mask, and it's the anonymity of the
right.
whole thing, and it's the reason why. And I know Lee is going to go see Lord of the Rings later today. It's the ring. It's you go on the internet, you put on your ring, you turn invisible, and then you just turn into Gollum, and you start saying just the nastiest, most vile things you possibly can. And I think one of the things that kind of upset me about this situation is that it was like sports parents. We have a lot of examples in our society of really bad sports parents.
Mhm.
And we have people out there like T. Morant and LeVar Ball who are just the worst example of that type of thing. And to see the father of an MLB player uh, interacting positively and having with fans and with people online, I thought was so refreshing in this world where you know most interactions online are negative. So it was really disappointing to see that Mr. Smith was experiencing that side of the internet.
Yeah.
And one more thing I wanted to mention before, sorry, Eric, but I think there's a natural inclination here of, oh, well, this is also a product of gambling. Like people get upset that they're bet. No, because I remember a specific. Does anybody remember Nick Whitgren? He was a reliever. He pitched
Oh,
mostly
yeah.
with Miami, but also pitched for the Indians at the time. This is probably like 2018, 2019. He had the exact same thing happen to him, where some morons out there were threatening, saying vile things to his wife on social media when he was with the Indians because he blew a game. Same
Right.
deal. This isn't now, maybe those guys were gambling illegally, who knows? But no, this is not a product of somebody being upset their parlay didn't come through. This is again, it's to me it's a character issue. I find it
I mean,
very disappointing.
I think it's a bit of both. There's been a lot of players like this year to like I don't know, maybe I just didn't notice it like previously, but I think this year has been a lot more players being like taking screenshots of like DMs and stuff like that and be like showing them and be like, this is the shit I'm getting. Stop it. It's weird and gross. Like and it's it's a lot of them are gamblers who are like, or like you hear like on like there's a post on Reddit on the Tiger subreddit a couple weeks ago that was like there was this idiot next to me who kept yelling at whoever because they needed 7 strikeouts or whatever or like there's all those kinds. There's like they sit by home plate and then they scream at the players for not getting 3 bases or whatever it is they need to hit their parlay.
Right.
I think it's part gambling, but it's also they're just people who have something very wrong with them.
I mean, there's a couple things like I can see like how you could, if you're gambling and you need someone to hit a double and they hit it, then they don't stretch a single into whatever. I could see how like if you're joking with them, you think you're joking with them, but these players don't fucking know you. Stop pretending they do. You know them a hell of a lot more than they know you. You are a complete stranger. What frustrates me about those type of fans, it's yes, they're absolutely hiding behind the mask of anonymity on the internet, but it's really revealing who they really are. If you're going to say this to someone in the where your face, where you know their face and they don't know yours, you are a coward. And until we get to the point where the public reaction is now going after those fans or just blocking them completely, this is going to continue to happen. And I would like to think we're starting to learn that. Whether I don't want to mention a certain person in a White House who it really goes on these long social media rants. At some point, we as a society, like American society, we're like a big pendulum. We go from one extreme to another. And I hope we are at the extreme edge of this social media, like, because we're trying to learn and like mature with this technology. I hope we're on the backswing to where we can just be decent human beings to each other and understand that the other side of the screen is a human being.
Yeah. And, I think it's worth
saying concisely what I was trying to convey, because that's really the crux of this for me is in order to type those vile things in the first place, you have to be thinking them in the first place. And that was the point I was trying to make is where's that? I think people need to look inside themselves and question why that even comes about. That's all. Sorry.
I think it's also it's worth mentioning that the personnel on this show was sourced through Reddit, through our respective teams' subreddits. But one of the rules on the Kansas City Royals subreddit is, well, there's 2 rules that come to mind. One is don't be toxic. And another one is no one cares about your bets / fantasy. So if I were to give like one statement to people on the internet, it would be don't be toxic and no one cares about your bets / fantasy.
I can't remember who it was, but just on that same course of like, if you were imagining that, let's just pretend like the twin subreddit is a real location. It's a bar, it's a restaurant, and you're all hanging out together. You're coming in as you please and going out as you please. And there's a loud asshole at the end of the bar who wants to come in and butt in every conversation, you do not need to let this person in the conversation. You can either choose to leave, tell this person to go away, or choose not to interact with them. And the block button, which I know a lot of these fans who are sending these things to the ass and be like, oh, he blocked me. I guess he's too soft. No, you're just an asshole and I don't want to deal with you. It's much easier to make you as a problem go away and I can continue on with my life than just deal with you wanting to be an asshole.
Exactly.
Can I talk about the Guardians on the field?
Yeah.
It's rosier than this, but it's not doesn't help my mood. All right, so last time we got together, Guardians were in a pretty good place. They had won 11 of their last 14, half a game out of the wild card, sniffing down the Yankees. Man, has a week changed a lot. They went from winning 11 of their last 14 to losing 9 of their last 12. Over the course of this last handful of games, they've gone 1-6 against the Braves, Diamondbacks, and Rangers. None of those are the 27 Yankees by any means. They're not even really playoff teams, to be quite frank. But it's not been a good road trip to the desert, to Arizona and Texas. And they've gone from being that first game out of the wild card to now the Royals, who have admittedly, as Sam and Lee were saying, have been playing better baseball. They're behind the Royals. They're 4 games out in the wild card. The biggest kind of thing I noticed is that bullpen that had been exemplary since Clase got suspended has fallen back to earth, and the offense is not performing at such a rate that the bullpen falling back to earth is sustainable. They're averaging 3.25 runs per game over that 12-game span, where they're 3-9. Some of that's bad luck. The BABIP hasn't been particularly good, and it's a small, sample size. But they're just not a very potent offense outside of a few guys. They're not as bad as they were in that 11-game losing streak, but they're, that George Carlin quote about the think of the average person and half the people in the world are dumber than that. The average Guardians offensive game is okay. This is like those bottom half performances they've been getting. Mm-hmm. This is half of the performances are worse. Well, we're having some of those worst performances lately. 3 players in particular I wanted to denote for not especially great at bats. I talked about Bo Naylor last week. I mentioned that his batting average isn't very good. What makes him playable is his walk rate. He has a great eye at the plate. He hasn't walked in these 12 games, not once. So his WRC plus over these last 12 games is negative.
I am curious as to when he's that light of out. Grant, I understand the irony that I am saying this and the team I cheer for, but why he walks so much? Why he is not just I'm going to throw you a 90, I'm going to throw you a fastball until you pop up? Why he's not that candid, I don't get.
I mean, maybe that's an adjustment that's being made now, but you would think that would have been made previous.
Right,
if we're noticing it.
He's just
yeah.
It's been around a little longer.
He's just got, I think part of the problem maybe, and I don't know, I haven't really done a deep dive on this, but he might just be passive. He's not. It's not necessarily that he has a good eye. It's that he
doesn't swing at stuff.
This doesn't swing. Yeah, right. And I don't know that. I'd have to look into that, but that's a theory. On the opposite end of the spectrum, Gabriel Arias has had a very up and down season. He's been very good at times. He's been not so great at times. He's striking out 44% of the time during this 12 games. He struck out 4 times on Friday night. The old golden sombrero. And then Nolan Jones, everybody's favorite trade that started, happened before the season, came here. Idea was he's a power hitter. He doesn't have an extra base hit in August. 0. And it's not, he's played less because they called Kafis up, but it's not that he hasn't played. He doesn't have an extra base hit in August. So Jose's been Jose. Manzardo's still fine. Austin Hedges has been playing a little more because Naylor's been so poor. He actually had a 300 average in this 12-game span, which I thought was interesting. But just the offense has kind of sputtered back out, and the bullpen has come back down to earth. And that's why we are where we are. A couple other things I wanted to mention, not exactly related to the Guardians, but is related to the Guardians. Shane Bieber returned to the mound in a Toronto uniform on Friday. 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, no walks, 9 Ks.
Nice.
I think we did a good job rehabbing him for somebody else, which I don't know how to feel about that, quite frankly. It was against Miami. I watched Jose Barrios pitch like 7 innings, 1 run
Old
yesterday.
friend.
So nothing against Barrios, but it's not a very good offense. But Bieber looked good for Toronto. Have not seen Cal Steven pitch yet. He's been hurt on our end of things. To the positive, though, Guardians pitcher did make his debut, Parker Messick. I believe that it was the Arizona series. I believe that was Wednesday or Thursday. Um, he, just for reference, is the Guardians' number 12 prospect. He was our second round pick in 2022 out of Florida State, and he is a finesse lefty with a great changeup. 60 grade for those that follow the 20 to 80 spectrum on his changeup. Uh, he feels to me like a rich man's Logan Allen, if that makes sense. He's going to pound the strike zone, good secondary stuff, but probably a little bit better. Um, he also started the futures game this year, which I thought was interesting.
Oh.
So he was having a really good season at AAA and had a great debut. 6 2/3, 7 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 6 Ks against the Diamondbacks. And I realized the Diamondbacks traded off a lot of their talent, but that's a very offensive friendly environment down there in Arizona. So he had a good first outing. He pitched in the 7th inning, um, and then the bullpen blew the game. So to my previous point, they ended up not winning that game. In fact, um, well, they ended up not winning that game, and uh, so those are the kind of the main components I had for this week. Now four games out. Got to get right against Texas today to have any shot. At some point, you're just out of the running, and I don't think we're quite there. This summer has been just so up and down for the guards. They've been cold then hot, and now they're cold again. And I feel like I'm just very reactionary on this show because of that. But that's where we're at right now.
I don't think that's unfair. They have been very strange.
Can't we just play? I prefer we didn't, but can't we just play 500 for a while? Like, win a
I
few,
think
lose
that's
a
the
few,
case.
something.
I think that's the case with most of the teams in this division. Lee, do you have some Tigers thoughts?
Yeah. So, all right. So they had that losing streak, and everyone was all freaked out. Yeah. Forget about that. They are extremely back. 18-7 since that losing streak.
I like the phrase.
Give me that.
I also think of Lee from 1 month ago at this point, like how the sky was telling, "Oh, we're back. It's fine." We're back,
Yeah,
baby.
forget about that.
Man.
I don't know. There was just no baseball.
Lee's John Wick. Yeah, I'm thinking we're back.
Oh, I love that. I love that quote.
Yeah. 18-7 since that losing streak. Currently on a 5-game win streak. Just swept the Astros at home. A big part of that is because the bullpen seems to have really stabilized, or at least for a while. All right, so the bullpen since the end of the losing streak, which is July 27th, so like that's almost a month now, right? They have a 3 ERA, which is third in that time frame. The FIP and XFIP are a bit uglier, but I don't care about that. I'm just looking at the numbers that are positive, because ERA is the actual numbers. Yeah, so 3 ERA, which is good. And a big part of that is because they have only pitched 81 innings, which is 24th in that time frame for innings pitched by relievers. And because starters are currently averaging about 5.17 innings per start, which is about 4th in the league in that time frame. So our starters are able to go longer, and so our bullpen is not as overtaxed. So the trade deadline, I had my words on it, but you know what? We got Charlie Morton, we got Chris Paddock. The worst things that they are able to go out there and pitch 5 or 6 innings. So with
the way things have been going with some of the other bullpen acquisitions around the league, Kyle Finnegan's probably on the short list for one of the better bullpen additions so far.
He's been amazing. I am in love with Kyle Finnegan right now because he has been. Let me pull up his. Yeah, since he came to Detroit, he has pitched in 9 games for 10.2 innings. He has 4 saves, 0 runs, 2 hits, 2 walks, 12 strikeouts. Oh, what
Don't
the
look.
hell?
We're
What
so back,
happened?
baby.
Oh, why'd you gotta? All right. Well,
Royals have had a 5-run top of the third inning, Lee. They're up 5.
So since you hit Jack Flaherty really well, that means that you're not a playoff team. Sorry, that's just
Wow.
See,
I mean,
because
there's
Flaherty
like a 75% chance you're right on that about us
See,
not being a playoff team.
Flaherty does really well against teams that are below 500, and he does really well against teams that are above 500, and poorly against teams that are below 500. So, just
I
saying.
like that as a Twins
I
fan.
mean, I don't know. The Royals are 66 and 64, so something's got to give.
Well, he's been really good against playoff teams, and not good against pretty much everyone else. Oh, all right, I just oh boy, Vinny had a huge home run. It looks
He
like
did. Yeah.
6 days in a row, right? That's what you
No,
wanted
he
to
didn't
say?
hit a home run yesterday.
Yeah, he had
Oh,
not. He didn't have one
Yeah.
yesterday. But so that would be 6 and 7 days.
Oh, sorry
Yeah.
to apologize for cutting off and going back, but Eric, you forgot one other guy that had 6 Grand Slams in a season. It's one of your favorite non-Twins, from what I understand, too.
Is it Josh Naylor?
It's Travis Hafner.
Oh God.
He had 6 Grand
Was that
Slams
like
in a season.
2000? Well,
Oh,
yeah,
6.
because he was only good for like 2006. Well, that's not true. He had a good career.
Like
but-
4 years. Yeah, but yeah, Travis Hafner hit 6 Grand Slams in 06.
Okay,
Sorry
and more
for the
runs than he
digression.
scored. All right, well, that's been a really big damper on what I was saying there. So thanks for that. Royals are up 6-1 or something now. Whatever. Anyway, my point still stands. Kyle Finnegan has been amazing. Yeah, 0 in 10.2 innings, 0 runs, only 2 hits, 2 walks, and 12 strikeouts. Like, he's been awesome for us. And the Tigers have kind of been doing what's being called pitching chaos 2.0. For every series, they will send a guy down to AAA and bring a new guy up from Toledo. So they're basically just cycling out their bullpen based on the needs. And this helps alleviate the stress that's being put on a lot of these players. And also, so Brant Herter, for example, is the guy who was sent down to AAA, I think after the Twins series, because he has a lot of mechanics he needs to work on a little bit, because he's doing a Class A where he just throws out a first pitch ball every outing and it's like way out of the zone. And I mean, he'll have a good outing, but like he'll like just hit a guy to like assert his dominance or whatever to start off. So he's got some like things he needs to work on.
Can I just say, like, and I mean this this is going to sound like a criticism, but I mean this in a positive way. I am incredibly jealous that the Tigers have branded managing a rotation as pitching chaos in a positive for fans, because I feel like every team does this and every fan base hates how the team manages bullpen, but you call it pitching chaos and suddenly the fan base is like, this is pretty cool. Like,
Makes people smile.
They just like the result, Eric.
I guess, but like,
Yeah, we
God
like the
dang it,
results.
do I wish. Every time I'm thinking the Twins do the same thing. Now let's keep in mind what the team has done. But like, man, this is what every team does. But the Tigers have they really nailed it. Make a T-shirt. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, there are T-shirts that exist for it.
Good.
I was just going to say, I was watching one of the Tigers Astros games this week, and the Tigers broadcast was talking about Hanafi and how he had gotten sent down and how he had handled it super well. He realized he was one of the guys that had options in the first place to be sent down. He didn't necessarily do anything wrong. I appreciate the additional context of what I'm saying is they're purposely rotating out one of their guys. And it's probably helping them also with that thing we've talked about where they're trying to figure out which 7 or 8 guys they're going to use in October. And you can see 9, 10, 11 guys if you do this. So especially with the rosters expanding now in about a week.
Yeah. Especially because a lot of these guys that we've relied on so much last year were rookies or like second-year guys. They were like Brant Herter is an example. He made his debut in like late last year, like July of last year, right? He hasn't had a full year through MLB. So like these are, and same thing for Hanafi and like, you know, a lot of the guys haven't had a lot of experience. So it's, you know, take a little bit of pressure off them, you know, let them work on some stuff that they would otherwise work on the majors, but when you're a playoff team and you're trying to make sure you have the guys on the roster and just not something you can do at a major league level. So, and he has the options. So it allows us to keep Montero on the roster and figure out what we're going to do with him and see if we're going to keep him into October and, that kind of thing. So it's been successful. So the bullpen's been good. They've given up only a few runs over the past 6 games or whatever, so yeah, I really can't complain about it. So hopefully this trend stays, and like the couple months where they were really rocky, that's an outlier, and this is who this bullpen is. And the Kyle Finnegan edition has been ginormous for us. Because he can come in these high leverage situations, and because Will Vest, he's another high leverage guy, but he really can't come in before the 9th inning. But Kyle Finnegan can come in the 7th or the 8th, and 2 innings, and he'll be good. So, and I just wanted to shout out Andy Ibanez, since returning from Toledo. He's only played 14 games, but he's 14 for 38 with 2 home runs and a 974 OPS. So, because he was sent back down to Toledo because he wasn't really hitting left-hand pitching like he is supposed to. He was like a 6-something OPS, but ever since he came back up, he's been mashing. So, I just wanted to mention him because that's, he's loved because of the Astros wild card series, and you got your 32-year-old utility guys who debuted at age 30, and it's a good story.
I have one quick Twins thought, and I promise you it's 4 seconds because we got to wrap this up here pretty soon. Christian Vasquez is on the IL, which is not surprising for the Twins. How he got on the IL, he had a infection in his elbow that transferred to his shoulder. So he went to the emergency room immediately because that's always never a great situation. So his Twins tenure is likely done. The reason I'm bringing that up is Mickey Gasper started as catcher for the Minnesota Twins, I think 2 weeks ago. It is the first time someone other than Vasquez or Jeffers has started for the Twins in 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think, I don't want to say that's a major league record, but I'm pretty sure that's a major league record because especially, no other team has had fewer than, I think, 4 catchers in a year. And the Twins for 3 straight years went with Vasquez and Jeffers. So that's it.
Yeah, and I think all my Royals thoughts were said during my recap. They just need to win, and don't worry about anyone else. Just continue to win games. So, with that being said, we can dive into some schedules.
Yeah.
We are going to talk about the Tigers, who are wrapping up with the Royals today. They're going to go to Sacramento and then finish with a weekend series against the Royals. I'll be there on Saturday night. The Royals also, again, playing the Tigers. They are going to go at the White Sox and then another weekend series against the Tigers. That'll be the last action between the Tigers and the Royals, and the White Sox and the Royals this season with those games right there. Then we're going to have the Guardians, who are going to, or rather finishing up with Texas, and then hosting the Rays, and then the Mariners. The Twins are finishing up with the White Sox, going to the Blue Jays, and then hosting the Padres. And then finally, the White Sox will be going, finishing up with the Twins, hosting the Royals, and then hosting what will be a very competitive series against the Yankees. So predictions-wise, I'm going to take the Royals for both series.
Funny.
All right. All right.
Dan?
Give me the White Sox against Kansas City, and give me the Tigers against the Royals. I guess I'm doing the inverse of Sam.
I want 2
Eric?
teams. I want 2 American League teams or American League Central teams in the playoffs. So I'm going to go Royals for both of these.
Awesome.
Get that wild card spot.
All right. I'm gonna say Royals for the for the series. I'm still gonna go Tigers for here, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think with all of that out of the way, that will do it this week for this episode of the American League Central Rundown. Let's come back here in a week, and we're going to talk about the Royals being in wild card position. That is going to be the topic
I'm here for it.
this week. So
All right, manifest it.
Anyway,
it.
until then, hope everyone has a good week.